Shalom. This week we start the book of Genesis, and so much to discuss. You have a new Pharaoh arises in Egypt who does not remember Joseph and all he did to rescue that country from ruin long ago. Pharaoh fears that this strange alien people, the Israelites, will continue to multiply and become more powerful than the Egyptians. This Pharaoh appoints taskmasters over the Israelites, enslaves them. He forces them to build the treasure cities of Pithom and Ramses. Pharaoh then tells the two midwives, Shiphrah and Puah, to kill every baby boy born into a Hebrew home. But the midwives, in an act of civil disobedience, refuse. Finally, Pharaoh declares that every Hebrew baby boy be thrown into the Nile and drowned. Well, you know what happens next. A baby boy is born to a Hebrew woman from the tribe of Levi. After hiding him for 3 months, she places this baby in a basket and sets him afloat on the Nile River. Pharaoh's daughter rescues this baby, names him Moses, and raises him as her own child. The Torah jumps in time to Moses as a young man, prince of Egypt. He sees another Egyptian beating an Israelite once, and he kills the Egyptian. And when word gets out, Moses flees for safety from Egypt. He goes to Midian. He eventually marries Zipporah, the daughter of Jethro. He's all prepared to live a peaceful life as a shepherd. But as we all know, a burning bush changes everything. Wow, there is so much to discuss. But I have to get you to look at that scene that I mentioned. It's in the 2nd chapter. It's verses 11 and 12. It was Moses' first days as a young man, according to the Torah. And it says, "And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown up, that he went out among his brethren. He looked on their burdens, and he saw an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he smote the Egyptian, and he hid him in the sand." Now let's look at some of those last words pretty carefully. Here are the words I want to focus on. Vayifen ko v'cho. And he looked this way and that way. Vayar ki ein ish. And he saw there was no man. Now I'll never forget how I always read that as Moses looking to make sure there was no one around. I mean, think about it. He was about to attack a fellow Egyptian. Do you realize how much trouble he would get into, not only for defending an Israelite slave, but what if he attacked or possibly killed an Egyptian? So I always thought it meant that Moses was looking back and forth to make sure there was no witnesses. But that's not what the text is saying, at least not according to one of my rabbis at Yeshiva University long ago. Because I remember in class he told us, now, Moses was watching and seeing that a crowd had gathered around the scene. He looked this way and he saw Egyptians laughing as the Israelite was being pummeled. He looked that way, and what did he see? He saw Israelites, all frightened to act in defense of a fellow brother. He saw no man. He saw no one standing up for that poor Israelite being brutally beaten. There's a brilliant passage in the Talmud that I have no doubt has to be based on this teaching that I learned, where Hillel declares, "Uvemakom she'ein anashim, histadel liot ish." In a place where there are no men, strive to be a man. When others are acting indifferent, stand up and be a courageous human being. My friends, that may be one of the toughest things to do in life. It is hard to stand up when no one else wants to. For those most marginalized in our community, people who need an advocate, people who need an ally, people who need a friend, it is hard to stand up. There are often powerful forces that are prepared to attack you with the same ferociousness as they do those who you want to defend. And in this world, there are also so many who really want to help, but are worried about the consequences. But may we always remember that all it takes is one person who, when others are standing down, is willing to stand up. Maybe that was the kind of person God needed to save the Israelites, and he found him on the streets of Egypt, fighting the good fight when no one else would. I kind of feel our world needs that more than ever.